wish I had a library and a wingback chair that I could sit in and read these to you, preferably with like a storm or a full moon or...
Hi guys, welcome to the Haunted Valley. I thought that I would do something a little bit different today. I thought I would begin a little ghost story appreciation type series, I guess, on my channel. And I thought about this because when I was a kid, I was really into the scariest stories you've ever heard. And these are similar to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but I liked these more. And they're not illustrated, and they're written by different people. Like, I didn't realize that until I was older. I didn't really pay attention to the fact that they all had different authors. And I think the concept is that they are traditional-ish stories that are reimagined and retold by whoever is, writing whichever book. So these came out in the late 80s. The third one was copyright 1990. The first one, copyright 1988. These are all books that I bought in elementary school at book fairs. I don't know if they still do book fairs, but those were one of the highlights of the school year for me. It would be like we had an ice cream social, and then in the library they had set up the cases, the huge cases and cases and cases of books. And I was given book money and I got to go choose what I wanted. So I know that all of these are from my elementary school because they're stamped with my old school address, and the building doesn't even exist anymore. These are all very old. So first we have The Scariest Stories You've Ever Heard by Mark Mills. And this one is one of the creepiest. Just that face. Man, that face. Ugh. So this one, and then the moon, the whole thing was just perfect. And this sold for $2.99. It's a Willowisp press book, and I am pretty certain that these are out of print. I'm not positive. Second one, Scariest Stories You've Ever Heard Part 2, was written by Catherine Burt. Also creepy. Not as creepy as the first one, I don't think, with that face. But they do have that, that old... Maybe I'll insert stills so you can get better detail. And then The Scariest Stories You've Ever Heard Part 3 was Tracy E. Dills. And this one just never really freaked me out very much. That cover art. I thought what I would do is I would pick my favorite stories from these and just read them to you. So you can hear the tale and, we'll share them together. So it'll be like spooky story time. I figure we would do at least one story from each of the 3 books and start from there and see what we think. So it'll be like a tiny little trilogy, and yeah, I'm excited. We'll start today with the story Never Walk There at Night. And this is on page 12 if you want to follow along, or if you find yourself with this book, you can do that. It was getting late. The slumber party at Annie's house was growing quiet. As midnight approached, one of the girls began to tell a ghost story. Someone else turned the lights down low, and all sorts of scary stories were exchanged. "You know, our house is only a block away from the cemetery," said Annie. "You wouldn't believe some of the things I've seen while looking out my window." A few of the girls giggled, but Annie looked serious as she continued. "My grandmother told me never to walk in the cemetery at night. She said if you step on a grave, the person underneath will grab you and try to pull you under, and then you'll be dead too." "Oh, that's just an old wives' tale," scoffed Diane. "The cemetery doesn't scare me." "If you're so brave, why don't you go over there right now?" Joanne dared her. "What for? It wouldn't prove anything," said Diane. "It would just prove that you aren't the scaredy cat we all know you are," replied Annie.
Scaredy cat, Diane, this is scaredy cat,
sang all the girls. Diane tried to shush them, but they kept on taunting her. As the girls' teasing grew more insistent, Diane finally blurted out, "Okay, I'll do it." The other girls clapped their hands in excitement. Annie went up to the window of her second-story room and looked outside. "Darn, the leaves on the trees hide the view of the cemetery," she said. "You'll have to leave a sign to show that you were really there, so we'll know you didn't cheat." Annie glanced about her room. She went over to her desk and grabbed an old letter opener from the pencil cup. "Here, Diane, take this letter opener. When you get inside the cemetery, go stand on a grave and stick it in the ground. Then we'll all go get it in the morning. If it's there, we'll know you really aren't a scaredy cat." Diane took the letter opener and the girls escorted her to the front door. "See you soon, Diane," said Annie as she closed the door, "unless the boogeyman gets you." The night was warm but very windy. Diane wished she had put on a coat or bathrobe over her long nightgown, but she knew the cemetery was only a block away. She could whisk over there and back in no time. As she came up to the cemetery gates, Diane walked more slowly. "I've got nothing to worry about," she said to herself. "There are no such things as ghosts." Inside the iron gates, Diane looked around. The only noise she heard was the rustle of the leaves in the trees. Clouds passed in the sky, causing moon shadows to dance on the tombstones. Filled with an eerie feeling, she pressed on into the old graveyard. Holding her breath and trying to calm her pounding heart, Diane picked out an old grave and stood on it. Then she bent over, grasped the letter opener, and plunged it deep into the ground. The job was done, but as she straightened up to leave, Diane felt something tugging at her nightgown. She pulled, but she couldn't free herself. She was trapped. As she struggled against the firm hold on her nightgown, she gave in to all the terror that had been building up inside her. Her horrible scream might have been heard at the house a block away, but the wind carried it off into the night. Annie looked out her window toward the cemetery. She strained to see, but the trees blocked her view. One of the girls mentioned that Diane had been gone almost an hour. "We'd better go see what's happened to her," said Annie, beginning to worry about her friend. The girls all put on their bathrobes and shoes and walked as a group to the cemetery. There they found Diane, sprawled before a crumbling tombstone. Having accidentally stuck the letter opener through the hem of her own nightgown, she had pinned herself to the grave. So terrified was she by the thought of death's grasp, she had simply died of fright.
Have a spooky day.